Welcome to Coffee Talk. Today we're joined by Mike Davis, the Business and Community Development Manager at Gold Coast Federal Credit Union. Mike brings years of experience of building partnerships between credit unions and the communities that they serve. He's passionate about helping people access financial education, develop smarter money habits, and take full advantage of the resources that credit unions provide. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. This is great,
Thank
April.
you so much for coming by. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Gold Coast Credit Union.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the Business and Community Development Manager. I work with a lot of our select employer groups or affiliates. Those are the companies that have said that they want their employees to utilize the credit union as a benefit. Mm-hmm. So I go out, I meet with leadership there, determine the best way to deliver the credit union to their employees. And then on the community side, I partner with a lot of our area schools, nonprofits, junior achievement, and I work with a lot of these different organizations to provide financial wellness and different free financial wellness resources that they can then utilize with their students and also the folks with those organizations.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Really great work. And how long have you or the credit union has had coffee?
I believe we've had for at least the past 7 years.
Wow.
I've only been there since March of this year, but we were founded in 1936 as the Palm Beach County Teachers Federal Credit Union.
Okay.
But we did bring on coffee. It's been an integral part of our financial wellness curriculum. And now with them bringing me on, we're kind of shifting everything into high gear.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I know we were talking earlier about financial wellness and financial education that sticks. What do you think comprises, stickiness to financial education and literacy?
It's like a gym tour, right? It's a lot of inspiration. It's 0 reps. Our model, I guess, is more doing. It's more smaller, actionable items. Rather than a big overarching picture or a lecture that we give, we like to give very small, actionable items. Is it, making that $25 split into your savings account every paycheck? Is it putting together that actionable budget and then following it? Is it 3-day check-ins, 7-day check-ins, 30-day check-ins to see where they're at? That's where we try to differentiate ourselves because, just similar to the gym, you can go to the gym, get a great tour of the gym, and it looks wonderful, and you know everything about every piece of equipment. But until you get in there and you really start using it, you don't see the results that you want.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what are the key ingredients, do you think, that makes it stick? So bite size, right? So actionable, things that people can do. Is there anything that you found with the coffee platform or, working in the community that you're really had success with or like something that you'd want other people to know about?
I think one of the great strengths of the coffee platform is trackability. Mm-hmm. So we work closely with a lot of the area high schools, the finance academies, the economics clubs, and what we utilize coffee for. Coffee has some phenomenal teen modules in there on budgeting, on saving, on entrepreneurship, a lot of great things that I think these kids now are very interested in, and they're just beginning their financial journey. And so what we like to do is, because coffee's trackable, we have them create the user ID and password. Then we're able to track exactly how many modules they've created. We share that with the educators who then run the Finance Academy and the economics clubs. And then we actually do something kind of fun to motivate the kids. Yeah. We do a raffle. Whoever completes all the modules, right? Because these are not assignments. These are not, something they're forced to do. This is part of the curriculum, but this is a Finance Academy, right? Mm-hmm. So whoever completes all of those modules is in a drawing to win a $25 gift card, and we give away 4 or 5 of them, and the kids love it. I mean, just winning anything is wonderful, but then they get to win in front of their peers, and $25 is $25. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would think that would be a good completion rate because they have that incentive.
Absolutely.
And do you get good feedback from the students, from the kids?
Fantastic. As a matter of fact, we have an internship program that we actually source our interns directly from the finance academies and the economic clubs that we support, as well as junior achievement. And part of the internship program is I want them to analyze the coffee modules and also come up with kind of a game plan and it's like a way to introduce it to the kids to where it's going to be creative, engaging, and fun. Not just, hey, do these modules, we'll put you in a drawing, but hey, do these modules. We've got 4 or 5 other really cool things we're doing, and you can be a part of it.
So when they are done with the courses, what is the feedback? Like, do you get feedback from the kids? Do they fill out a survey or talk with you guys about like the effectiveness or what they personally thought of the courses?
Absolutely, yeah. So we do a survey. We do a Survey Monkey, see what they liked. I'll tell you, the football one is probably the best rated so far. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I played it myself.
Football, Florida, right?
But yeah, so we send out to Survey Monkey. We like to gather feedback on it. And I think the great thing about it is we see really high completion rates because they are so engaging. They're not just stuffy, boring, modules where you have to click the arrow to go next. You got to wait for the slide to be read to you. They are so interactive that the kids get a lot out of it. And then the cool thing is what I do is I come in and I do a presentation, usually on, maybe the pitfalls of buy now, pay later, stuff the kids are interested in, right? TikTok scams. But then we do, we pull from the coffee curriculum and we have a quiz afterward. And so I bring little goodies, stress balls, pens, like fun stuff for them. And we do a little quiz, and I just throw out the prizes as they get the right answers.
That's great. I'm so happy to hear that you're making financial literacy and education so fun. Because honestly, like we've been at this a long time, like teaching financial literacy, and it gets really hard to get their attention. So it sounds like you guys are doing an amazing job.
Very true.
At like doing that. I'm so impressed with that.
And you're right. It's not the sexiest subject out there.
Right.
So it is fun to be able to get something to engage them.
Yeah. So do you have any advice for other internships or entry-level jobs about how other organizations can embed financial literacy into their like internship program or like onboarding for new hires?
Yeah, well, I think another part of it, and this is really, really interesting, is kind of from a different aspect, is kind of teaching those interns about their paycheck. A lot of these folks, a lot of these teenagers, this is their first job, and so they don't know about a W-4 form. They don't know about withholding, and so we do kind of do some mini quizzes on their first paycheck. So when they get their first paycheck, yes, you're elated. You're like, wow, I got my first paycheck. But then you look at it and you're like, wow, the government took this. And
where did my money go?
Where did all
that
my money go?
What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's where we go, okay, now let's walk through your paycheck with you. We're going to show you exactly where this money is going, where you're paying taxes, and then, obviously, how to read it and how to read that paycheck so you're not, unpleasantly surprised when you get it at the end of the week.
That's a great idea. We have interns here. I think I'm going to make sure that happens for them too, the paychecks, because it's true. So let's talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that recently passed.
Absolutely.
And how it affects student loans.
The repayment menu kind of finally went on a diet. There's no more Baskin Robbins 12 flavors, which is probably good because I think it's a little bit easier for folks to understand. For new loans, you can pick the standard plan or the RAP, which is the repayment assistance plan. And these are really the only two options you have. Those tie your bill to your income. It tries to stop your balances from growing. And a lot of people in the past with all these different repayment plans didn't realize that they weren't really even covering the principal. So all of that interest was being subsidized right back or unsubsidized right back into the loan as principal. So say they're paying their loan for 10 years, they're thinking they're making quite a dent. Unfortunately, now they've got a better job, income-based repayment. Okay, I got a better job, I can pay more. They look at the principal balance, it's more than when they were in school. And I think that is really one of the main things the federal government is trying to get rid of because in my view, and I know it was not meant to be a predatory product, but sometimes things happen and it's just, it was not the intention, right? I mean, they wanted to help people. But I think it's gotten people in a lot of financial holes that they wouldn't be in otherwise. Parent Plus now has caps, so there is going to be a shortfall. A lot of the times, whenever there was a shortfall with FAFSA, the student, okay, my parent can take out a Parent Plus. Now there's going to be a gap there that private banks, private credit unions will have to step in and fill. And then the Grad Plus loans, which a lot of grads use to finance their master's degree, PhDs, those are going away as of, I believe, July of 26.
Okay.
So there's definitely going to be another funding gap there for graduate students where they're going to have to find alternative sources of funding. And I think the federal government is excited to have private institutions kind of step up and pick up the ball. And, it's not scarier. I would say it's more grown up. It's budget first, borrow second.
And I would think that an institution like yours, Gold Coast Credit Union, would probably have better rates or be a better experience for students than perhaps a traditional bank.
Well, I love to say it, because we are structured, and a lot of people didn't know this. I was in banking for about 15 years before I came to my first credit union. I had no idea what a credit union was. I thought it was similar to a bank, but basically credit unions are financial cooperatives, as you well know. All of our profits go right back into our products for our members, whereas a bank has to pay a stockholder dividends.
Right.
We are paying our shareholders, which is all of our owners, which are the people that have accounts with us, in the form of better rates on their deposits, lower rates on loans, and less to no fees. So you're absolutely right there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of credit unions. I think
Nice.
they're underutilized, perhaps, and maybe we'll change that as we move on.
I
right?
hope so. I sure hope so.
So, do you think there's any misconceptions about how the student loan rules will be changing? Do you think that people aren't they just have misinformation?
There's definitely a lot of misinformation out there. I feel that we've been doing financial wellness seminars on this exact topic, and there's a lot of fear, right? I mean, people fear the unknown. They are reading the news, and the news does, of course, a very quick glaze over, maybe clickbait. Oh, look at this, Parent Plus loans, the cap is going, the cap is going down. Now you're not going to have money for college. But the reality is there's going to be a lot of very eager financial institutions stepping up to jump in these loans. Now, is a private loan just as good as a federal loan? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. With the federal loans, you do have a little bit more protections with regard to public service loan forgiveness.
Right.
If you were to take a private loan, of course, banks are not going to offer that. You also get those income-based repayment plan options with a federal loan, which you do not get those protections with a private loan. But I always encourage people to kind of look at the big picture. Don't just look at rate, but look at also, is your interest subsidized into the loan if you're not paying it? Are there other added fees into the loan? Is this loan going to be very difficult to get? There's a lot of different, variables that kind of go into it that can help make you decision. It's not always the best rate.
Okay. What would your advice be for students looking, to get into college when looking at the loan landscape today?
Sure.
To do it responsibly. Because I feel a lot of times, the kid will go to school and they'll talk to the financial aid office at whatever college they want to go to, and they either get a good financial aid advisor or one that's maybe not so great. I personally had a really good financial aid advisor when I went, and they really spelled everything out to me. I knew exactly what I was getting into. I signed it. I always felt ownership over it. But as time has progressed, I feel like a lot of the kids, they don't get that experience. And so when they're going through the financial aid and what loans to take out, they don't understand the interest rate, how it compounds, and all the rules.
Absolutely.
So what would you say, how would you advise somebody to look at it responsibly, from the students?
Absolutely. So my advice is free money first. Look for scholarships, right? There are so many scholarships. Little plug for Gold Coast Federal Credit Union. Woo-hoo. We do 4 scholarships every year. What we do is we have the students write a 300 to 500 word essay. This year it was What Success Means to Me. We had about 60 submissions. They were all fantastic. We awarded 4 different scholarships. There's a lot of programs out there like that. There's programs. I got it. I'm a redhead. I'm a ginger. When I was in college, there was a redhead scholarship. I think it was $250 or $300, but I applied for it. I wound up getting it. So my advice is free money first. Then get your FAFSA filled out. See what you can get, right? Get that FAFSA form filled out. Make sure that you've got all the relevant details in there and you're accounting for it. And then on the other side of it, on a planning aspect, I went to community college my first 2 years of school. It was a lot cheaper. I paid for my own school. You're basically in any program you get into with undergrad, and you well know this, your first 2 years are basically all the core classes everybody's doing at, Harvard, Yale, and, the community college down the street. At all. Right. Exactly. So if you can save money on those credit hours and, get a stellar grade point average and you get you get those 2 years done, then you can transfer to 4 university and probably save, easily upwards of $50,000-$60,000 in those 2 years.
Absolutely.
So it's a couple, go for that free money, make sure you get that FAFSA filled out, and then look at where, the cheapest opportunity is to get those core classes done knock them out, and then go do what you want to do. I'll tell you what, and as you know, when you're studying in your major, those don't even feel like classes because they're so much fun.
Right, because you love it. Right, exactly.
You
No,
know?
it's so true. That's great advice. That's great advice. All right, so now let's pivot to your advice or what you would tell HR teams when they're looking for financial wellness platforms.
My advice is treat the finances just like, the physical health, right? So when you have somebody who is physically ill, they can't come to work, they can't be productive. It's tough, but financial wellness can make people physically ill. It can set people back, or, maybe they need to leave for an appointment and they can't leave because they can't, they don't have the hours or they don't have the time off. That financial health can definitely affect that physical health.
Yes.
If there's stress with money, if there's stress with, things that's happening with their taxes, with their paycheck, garnished wages. A lot of those things can really make someone not be very productive at work.
Right. Physically sick. And then also mental health. If you're struggling with bills and debt or you're not secure financially, it also makes your mental health suffer. So, and that affects your physical health also.
Absolutely.
So what do you think would be, what do you think that HR leaders would value in a wellness platform?
So we don't really count, butts and seats. We really count in clicks, right? Who's clicking through? Who's getting into the webinar? How many people did we view? How many people opened the email that we sent out on financial wellness? Reporting those numbers back. I think that's something that leadership takes very, very seriously, because you're giving them not just like, hey, this is all fluff. We got this great financial, program, but now we can give you some concrete examples. Hey, look, your direct deposit has gone up, right? There's people that still don't have direct deposit, that still get a pay card.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad, but a lot of us don't think of it. I've had direct deposit since I was 19 years old, right? But a lot of people are not in that position. They're not financially savvy. So those little things where we can measure how many people are on direct deposit before we started, how many were on direct deposit after. The other thing is, 401k loans. Sometimes, HR really keeps an eye on those. And if we can reduce the amount of 401k loans because we're helping people save money, or maybe get a loan through more traditional, like a mortgage or a home equity line of credit, something that's, it's a little bit better for them, or they're not coming and trying to take from their retirement. I think those are some really good measurables that we can bring to the HR team that shows the value, and then they can take that to their leadership team and say, look, this is working.
Wow, I think that's great advice and a good takeaway. So Mike, can you tell me about SEGs? And SEGs stands for Select Employee Groups. And you're telling me that they can be turned into a distribution channel for financial wellness? What do you mean by that exactly?
We basically borrow their trust and we return it with results. And what I mean by that is we plug coffee, early and often, and as a free benefit through the Select Employer Group that they can then offer their employees. And so now it becomes not just am I offering a credit union, but I'm actually offering a financial wellness program, right? And we always encourage them to get in and do the modules. And I'll tell you, I would say probably 4 out of 5 do it, because, these HR folks, they hang their hat on the programs they bring in. And if the program is not as good as it should be, that's, they don't want to hang their hat on that.
It reflects on them.
It absolutely reflects on them. So agricultural, higher ed, associations, larger employers, and we just try to drive one action per month, right? And then we show the adoption data right back to leadership. And so really it's distribution plus data. It equals, positive change.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do you think this is a model other credit unions and places should pick up and start?
I sure hope not, because we're doing it really well. No.
All right, don't steal his thunder. Okay, this is it.
Okay. Yes, I do. I think it's a winning model. It's been very, very effective for us. And I think the great thing about it is, you have a lot of big banks going to these employers all the time for access. Hey, can we come to your lunchroom? Hey, can we come to your benefit fair? And really the reality is they want to sell checking accounts. They want to sell loans. They want to sell this. The nice thing about us having coffee and the financial wellness aspect is, look, we're not here to sell anything. We're here so that your employees are more financially savvy, they're more informed, and you know what? They're going to be much better, more engaged employees as a result of that. And you're offering this great program. And so I feel like a lot of the times when we get into these employers, some of my counterparts at the banks, how did you guys get into that event? And I said, well, it's making it all about the company. It's all about the employees, but that's all I'll tell them. That's my secret.
That's your secret. I love your secret sauce, right? No sales, about the employees. So since you love coffee and I love coffee, do you have any advice for the coffee users? Like, what is your favorite part of coffee, or something maybe that you feel is maybe not as discovered on the platform that you really like?
I think the tax modules are phenomenal. I really do.
Usually you don't hear taxes and phenomenal in the same sentence.
I really do. I think you guys break it down in layman's terms. For me, I'm not an accountant. I do have a business degree, but I'm not very good at accounting. That was always my sore subject. Finance was more bad bag. But I think and it's been very helpful for our members as well, because it explains things in a very simple way where we can pop a module on, and a lot of us know kind of where the spot we want to go, and we just have the member watch a 30-second clip, and they're like, oh my gosh, I really understand that now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
so we utilize
wonderful.
it with our members in, loan products, our savings products. Even, it's funny, we have members talking about crypto now. And, we don't do crypto, but,
right.
Hey, we want to be able to, have a conversation about it and help them. And if they want to do it, do we tell them, go with a trusted exchange, a Binance, an et cetera, a Coinbase, don't, invest your rent money, obviously. But, but yeah, so the nice thing about coffee is it gives us a lot of financial education right at our fingertips that we can directly translate to the member. And I think they really appreciate it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, Mike, it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today. I just feel like Gold Coast is really, really doing a phenomenal job with financial education and literacy in this space. So thank you so much for being such an advocate.
Awesome. Thank you, April. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay, so next time we'll be back with another episode of Coffee Talk.